Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to Rusted Up Garage. This is an intro for the video ahead, and I want to take a second to basically apologize for this not coming out on Friday. We really shoot for Fridays to get these out to you guys, but this video has been a bear to compile and press, and we've been pretty busy. Zach's been busy with work, and I've been busy with work, so this is not our full-time job. This is just something we piddle with because we like to bring what we do to everyone because we do some pretty cool stuff. So we didn't quite get it compiled in time, and I do apologize for that. This video started out like, I don't know, 5-something hours of footage or more, and we compiled it down to about an hour and a half. I know this is extremely long. I don't really like long videos either. I try to keep them around 40 minutes, but this is a lot of information on this current video. We've looked everywhere on YouTube. We found like one video that kind of described taking the front ends apart on these particular cars, and that was it. It's just there's not a lot of information out as far as pulling the center links apart and pulling and putting all the new, they're not really bushings. I don't even know what you call them.
They're like cups.
They're like Turner cups. Like, anyways, rebuild the front end pieces. Now, I know this video don't include like removing all the front end pieces, but I believe that was in an earlier video. You know, the one that I maintained my teeth in. So go back and you can catch it. There's a whole series on this car where we've basically blown it apart from driving to pulling the whole frame out to putting the frame back in, and again, just trying to get the car clean and stuff. So we didn't chop a lot out of this video as far as the technical pieces. We did speed up a couple things just to try to help move it along. There are going to be chapter marks, so you can kind of skip around through the video, but we did our best to show how all these pieces come apart and how they kind of go back together. Now, keep in mind, we are not professionals by any means. Now, this is really the first one I've ever done, so I've kind of learned as I went. You know, I got Zach over here, just hanging out, being quiet.
That's because you're talking.
I know I'm talking, but so the biggest thing is I just wanted to do a little intro, just to let you know this video is long, and I get it, and it's not like a normal video. This one's going to really be more of a helper for anybody who's working on, I mean, ours is a 55 Oldsmobile. Obviously, this will work on previous and later and other models, but it'll at least give you an idea. You know, don't be afraid to just tackle these things. Just blow them apart. That's what they make camera phones for, and snap some pictures, do some video. We've had to go back and rewatch some of our videos so I could figure out how to put some of this crap back together, because we don't do it all in one day. Again, we both work, so I'll go out in the shop for a couple hours at night, blow something apart, and it may be 2 or 3 days before I get back out to do something else. So I want to keep this intro as short as I can, even though it's probably already 83 minutes. But we want to thank you for watching. Thank you for the ones that have subscribed. Remember, there's still 80% of you that are watching that haven't subscribed. Even if you don't like our channel, just subscribe. God, just subscribe.
I mean, it's free.
It's free.
Who doesn't like free stuff?
That's right. And I like free stuff. I don't seem to get much free stuff, but anyways. I just wanted to do an intro so you saw that. I mean, when you open this video up, you're like, woo, she's a long one. But that's why. It has a lot of parts in it. And again, you know, we done some modifying. We managed to get QA1s to work underneath this car with some modifying because there's just no shock options for this car. So that's kind of cool how we did that. I wish we would have gone a little more detail of assembling them and stuff. But, you know, again, I'm doing the best I can and keeping the video small. It was still an hour and a half. So it's just, I can't keep every piece of it. It's just, you know, no one watches past like 10, 15 minutes anyways. Again, unless you really want to know how the parts work. But in this video, it does have, we blew apart the whole center link, A-frames, we washed everything up, we put all the cams back in, the bolts. It pretty much shows everything, but the actual like bolting together, because that was that was a little sketchy. We decided to, chop that little section of video out. But hopefully you enjoy. Like I said, this ain't like a normal video. Next week will be a little more smaller video and a little more to just basic putting crap in a car and less technical on how we blow this apart. But thanks again for watching. Please subscribe, and hopefully this video helps some of you who are trying to pull these cars apart and save them. So, thanks a lot. Right, Zach?
Yeah.
Man, a few words. Man, a few words. Welcome back to another episode of Rusted Up Garage. And in this episode, we're going to call it Front End Friday. Well, technically, this ain't Friday, but when you watch it, it'll be Friday. So you get it? Front End Friday? Haha. Well, anyways, sorry. Why have your attention, though? What we're finding is that about 80% of you who watch our videos are not subscribed to our channel. We want subscribers. We need subscribers. We have like 82, 84, 80. It's in the 80s. We want to hit the hundreds. Hundreds, okay? So I know 80% of you who are watching or have clicked the videos or have done something with the videos has not hit the subscribe button, the like or the bell or any of the buttons. So I'm asking, please, and hit the button. Okay, awesome. Now back to Front End Friday. What we have here is the front end for a 1955 Oldsmobile. What you're not going to find on the internet or on YouTube anywhere is how to disassemble and reassemble a 1955 front end. I know, I've looked. Does anybody know how to put this thing back together? Probably not, because I didn't. I took it apart, and now I kind of know. It's later in the video, let's hope I do know. But basically, as you can see over here, this is the parts that we have that we started with. I just kind of want to show you. And I've power washed these like 3 times, and I've cleaned these up a bunch of times. They just haven't hit the final wash here in the old Moroso cleaner. Okay? Makes the cleaner faster. Just saying, you put a Moroso sticker on it, it's so much faster at cleaning. So if you have one of these, get a sticker, cleaning is just done. Easy. But anyways, I want to show you guys what we're taking these parts from. So you've got a 55 Oldsmobile, and really this works for probably any of the 50s, Olds, and probably some of the Chevys, Buick stuff. This stuff is kind of the same. So if you've ever wanted to blow apart a front end and put it back together, or you've been intimidated to take the front end apart because you don't know how it goes back together, this will be a great video for you. If you just want to see how these old systems work, another great video for you. So without further ado, I'm not going to sit here and just chat. We are going to blow these pieces apart, finish getting the rest of the pieces out there we're not going to use, okay? And then we're going to put them in the old Moroso cleaner, get them cleaned up, and then we're going to paint them up like this. See, this side stuff's all been done. This has all been painted. And then, after that, we're going to go into reassemblation mode. Assemblation? I don't think that's a word. Assembly mode. Assemblation. Anyways, what we're going to do is we're going to put the parts back together like they're supposed to be. And I actually have a book that tells me like where certain things need to go. So we're going to kind of follow along the book and hope that we get this thing back together like it should. So off to the vise, and we're going to grab these old parts here. We're going to get these parts ripped off because there's no sense putting it in the cleaner until these parts are just gone. And then we'll do some scrubbing, and then from scrubbing we'll do some painting. From painting we're going to do some assembly. And then maybe at the end of this video, maybe, depends on how long it is, we'll put these parts back on the car behind you. Behind you. Anyways, it's behind you. Zach don't want to turn. So without further ado, to the vise. Okay, here's a center link for the car. And there's been a lot of people who have wondered how these center links actually come apart and how you actually change them. I know it's on high speed, let her rip mode, but we're going to kind of go over this the best we can. So here is all the new parts that come with the kit. You don't actually get a new center link. You got to actually remove this one and take it apart and then put the new parts in. So as you can see, I'm going to remove the end caps. There's two cotter keys that you're going to remove. That someone's right in front of the thing, which is, I guess, me. Sorry, just, I'm doing the best I can. But remove the cotter keys, cotter pins, and then you're going to spin those out. When I put mine back together, obviously everything was tighter, so they didn't go in as far as they were originally. But you basically have that screw cap, and then in behind that you're going to have a cup that's actually going to hold that pitman arm on. So I'm going to pull that cup out, you can kind of see, and then there's the other half of the cup. And then after that, I believe there is a spring, and then there's a spring retainer that holds the spring in, and I'm going to get a magnet because I just couldn't get it. It's so full of grease. So you can see the spring retainer where it points out into the spring. And then we have a sleeve spacer, which is going to space you to the inner tie rod ends. So you're going to have that spacer, and then after that spacer, you're going to have another one of those cups that's going to go around that ball of the, you see that ball right there. It goes around that ball. So there is a set of those on both sides of that. You see the retainers right there. And then at the very end, there's a little tiny flat washer that goes in there. So I'm cleaning it up. So that's kind of the order of the parts. There's nothing else in there but a bunch of grease. And what I mean by a bunch, I mean mine was full, basically, from end to end, because mine is original from 1955. Now I'm going to go to the other side and repeat the process. We're going to remove that clip in case you missed it on the first one. Remove the cotter key. And again, mine, when I put it back together, mine did not go in as far, but that is slotted. So as it wears, you can actually pull that cotter key out, and you can take a big screwdriver and you actually can tighten that back up to get it to tighten up the balls around them cups. And you see, I think pitman arm is on one side. I forgot what the other thing's even called. Wow, brain cramp. Sorry. The idle arm pops out just like the pitman arm. And it's the same process. The only thing is you have a longer sleeve on one side, because obviously there's an offset difference on the center link. So just as you can see, I'm just kind of going through piece for piece, pulling them out, stacking them together, and there it is, empty. There's the balls that go in it, and I'm going to go wash this thing up. So here's the upper A-frame anyways. I'm going to pull the shaft out only because I don't want to clean it with the shaft and everything in it. And then we got awesome guy going by with his whatever piece of crap he's driving right now. Sorry. Look at that. It's too big. It's too big. So there is actually a torque setting for these. And not only is there a torque setting for these, there's actually a measurement from the center line to where it sits on the A-frame. Believe it or not, I know that sounds crazy, but I'm telling you the truth. I wouldn't kid you about something so important as this. As you can tell, these were basically put in 1955. You can tell by the way they are. And new A-frames, believe it or not, you'd actually cut the grooves in them. These actually cut the things in them. It's kind of silly, but I'm just telling you it did. So anyways, that threads in, and that threads in here on this. So we're going to tighten it back up, but we need this to be at a certain relation to this to keep it centered. So I have all them numbers. When we go into reassembly, I'll talk all about those numbers for you Olds guys that just want this information. Now we're going to go to the other side. Again, take out the grease fitting. Only because the socket don't fit over it, otherwise I'd leave it in. Because we're not going to reuse these. We're going to throw these in the non-reuse pile, which I'm saving everything. Because basically, until I get everything assembled, make sure if there's something else I need, I have everything. So those are those parts. And then it just slips off. It's basically just threads in here. So this A-frame here is ready for cleaning. So we'll set this one over here. And I said we're not going to need these parts because we're replacing them. Because basically this is what they turn on. So once this goes in like this, all the way on the A-frame to wherever that setting is, this actually just turns them threads. That's what they did back then. They just, turned in the threads. I mean, I guess it worked, right? I mean, now you put a bolt through and basically use a bushing to do this. They didn't use a bushing. It's like solid. Okay, so now I got the lower A-frame. Same thing. So we're just gonna So we're going to pull out that, flip this over, so putting it back together should be interesting because, again, I've never done one of these, and so I'm going by instructions, but I have an old book. And some guessing. Same thing. So now this is ready. So now next, let me go get the spindle as soon as Motorcycle Man goes by. And this part's ready for cleaning. So I'm gonna throw these in the cleaner and I'll be right back. So now for the fun part. We're gonna remove the whole kingpin assembly and we're gonna remove the adjusters for the camber and caster on this car. Now these are all done with this upper eccentric. So basically this goes in here like this, and once you loosen that up, you can actually turn this eccentric. And this right here is going to change both your camber, which is going to go in and out. And then also, because the way it's threaded, you can actually turn it and it's going to lay, it's sideways here, but it's going to lay this spindle back and forth, which is going to give you your caster. So where caster is important is, and this is where caster is kind of a problem in these cars. Back in the 50s, they didn't put as much caster in cars, positive caster. So positive is like outward like this, okay, positive caster. Which positive caster makes it a little more stable, a little less wandery going down the road. The problem with positive caster is when you're in a parking lot without power steering, it's really hard to turn, okay? So this car actually, from the factory, was put at 0 to negative, I think it's negative ½ degree of caster. So it was actually stood straight up or just a little bit back. So that way the park drop, it would be very easy to turn it like in a parking lot when it's just sitting still. The problem with that when you're going down the road at today's speeds is the car's a little more wandery. So ultimately what we want to do is we want to find that happy balance. So we're probably going to try to set this thing up at like a +2 if it'll do it. So we're going to want it laid out. It's going to be a little bit harder to turn in the parking lots, but it should go down the road straighter and be less wandering. So that's going to be something we're going to be playing with. That's going to be in future videos because we're going to try to do our own alignment here. I mean, why not, right? We'll just do that. But what I want to do to get me started, I want to at least get this eccentric in the same place as what it is, so when I put the car together, the whole car is back together pretty much where it was at, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna lay this eccentric in here, like this. And that's basically telling me that's exactly where it's at, the current one. So what I'm gonna do is once I get this right where that one is at, is I am going to just draw me a little line, which you can't see unless that's over my back, and right here. Like that. That's a little line. That's telling me right where the top is. And then I'm gonna put a big L on this one. So I know that's left, okay? And it's gonna go in on this side, right here. Okay? I've already done the same for the right one. Now I know my R is a little wrong, but you can see I've already marked the right one. So now I know where that's at. So now realistically, I can take apart, let me get a 9/16 here. We can take apart this bolt here. And we wash up this bolt. Because when it's in the car, you basically have this bolt. Now what's kind of cool is you can actually see this thing's actually turning really easy. So on it, it's actually backwards threads, reverse threads, so it turns this way. So basically, as I was turning this, it would be in this bolt, and the bolt is threaded the other way. So I can actually rotate this back and forth to get the caster set. Now this one has been turned basically all the way in almost, or pretty close to it. So again, that's something that we're gonna mess with here in a little bit, and that'll be kind of fun. So there's that one. I don't know where I get this one just yet. This one on the last one was pretty much in there. There it is. Okay. Now this one don't do nothing. This one just goes in. And the bolt goes in, and then we're going to center it within. And there's measurements for all that too in my little handy dandy book. So it's going to take a little bit to put all this back together. Basically what I'm saying. There's that part. Get that out. Wash that. These actually go in the pile over here to be saved but not reused. Okay, so that part's all done. Now let's grab this ratchet here. Let's remove on the two grease certs. And then we're going to pull the kingpin assembly apart. So that's all going to get washed. So those of you who've never done a kingpin assembly, so basically what we got to do now is we're going to pop that pin out. That pin actually holds this pin in here. This is what this does. You'll see it slotted. But the biggest thing is we got to get these stupid caps off. They're called waterproof blow-through whatever caps or something. So we got to get those off. And they're not usually that much fun to get off. So I'm going to show you Ricky's trick. Now, you can get in here and try to pop these out, but I found it pretty much don't work. So what I do is I just drill. I don't like this. I'd much rather like this. You get more leverage this way. The spindle ain't flopping around on me going this way. There's that one. Let me get a rag here. Wipe that out a little bit. Okay, now flip it over. So this is a lot easier in the vise than it is on the car. And that's, so there is one in here, believe it or not. Now what I've done is basically got in there so I can get onto it. get up underneath it like this. That's why I drilled it. It comes with new ones, and there's that pin. I mean, so these are junk. Now, we got to get this pin out next. So now we'll go back to the beaten part. There's really one good way of getting these out, and that's with Tanya Hardin. This is probably what, the 300, 400. So, and that pin right there, you just give it a good whack like that. Then find your punch, which is basically missing in action because you didn't put it back where you should have. You come looking in here for one. And again, it's not in here. Why would it be?
Is that one that's on the drill press?
It sure is. Okay. It don't quite go through, so at that point, you just need to find something that will fit through, like, you know, an old drill bit. See? Just like that. Now this pin, as you see, it's tapered. It's actually pretty worn right here too. So, but we know some of this front end's pretty worn. She's original. So now let's flip it back over like this. Let's grab this punch backwards. We should be able to just drive this kingpin out the bottom. Like that. So as you can see, there is a lot of wear and scarring on this one. So this one's a lot worse than the other one was. There's quite a bit of wear. You can actually feel the lip on this one. And the bushings, so you know the bushings are worn. This is worn. So we're gonna, again, put this in the keep for later pile. Now, when we pull this off, the other thing you wanna pay attention to, they give you shims. So when you put the new one in, you may have to shim this because you want this tight if it's worn here. So we'll know that later. But when you pop this off, this is like a little bearing here that it actually helps ride on. That's pretty well stuck. But that helps, that's supposed to help save on it. So we'll be replacing this part as well. We'll stick that over there. So now, this part right here, as you can see, is ready for the cleaner. Now this one is not. So what we gotta do now is we're gonna put this one back in the vise, like this. We gotta get them bushings out. Now there's stake marks right here. See the stakes? That's where it was staked in, them caps. So I'm gonna take my little grinder here and just clean them stakes out so we can drive them bushings down through. I'll finish cleaning. I will clean these up a little bit better once we get the bushings out later. But for starters, let's just get the bushings knocked out, and then we get to go clean. So for this, you just take your favorite socket, your favorite flavor socket that fits in this. Which for me, it's a 16 M&M. Fits perfect. And then you basically just put it in here. You gotta really drive on it. This first one. So here are the bushings. You can kind of see where they are worn quite a bit in here. That's probably hard for you guys to see them. They are worn pretty good, which I mean is to be expected. I mean, you gotta think these are original. I'm sure of it. But basically this would have been over here. Of course I screwed up the end, so. And then these would turn on this, like this. Now there is grease. Basically, there is a hole for the grease, and the grease would run up in that little slot in this one, and that would give you your grease your kingpins. So the new ones I have are similar, like this. They have the grease hole, and they basically grease in a circle and kind of fill up and down and fill all the little holes in. So hopefully these are a little bit better as far as wear, because I think they will be, just by the design of the way it's done. I think they've kind of made that design a little bit better. Now we will need, which we'll be doing, once we pound those in, we will need to cut them to diameter because they actually are oversized. So we'll actually have to cut them to the new pin size. So we'll do that on the reassembly process. But now, we just gotta basically take these parts over to the parts washer and clean them up. What are you doing? What do you do? I'm trying to put this front end back together. Just watch how Ricky tries to remember how to put the thing back together.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
You didn't take any pictures?
I did. I know these go on here. And the other thing we found was the new kit, these are just a little bit bigger, but we're not talking a lot, and once it wears a little bit, it should be fine. It's just, I think the thing's just tight. I think it just comes down to it's tight. Because that's definitely how it needs to go together. So. Basically a spacer, and then a keeper, like that. So what we're gonna do is put this one in too. The second keeper. Like that. And then the ball. And then that just pops down no matter what. Like that. And then it gets this tringle. Like that. And then it gets this guy. So it's
what it is.
It gets the keeper and then the spring. It's about the same distance as the other one. And then it gets that. And then it gets this guy. It gets the last ball socket. Like that. And then it gets the threaded thing. Work these joints a little bit. That's the same as the other one. It tightened up to there, and then I just backed it off to right there. And it gets keyway right there. Like that. And like that. And that would be the assembled unit. That's really tight. These only go on one way.
Put your other holder on it.
And these are only one way too. So you can only use one's for one side, one's for the other side. So basically you really can't mess this one up. It can only go one way. Now we are going to measure these because we know what the measurement is. I like to put the same amount of threads on inside. So right there I'm at 1 7/8 inches. Right there at 1 3/4 inches. So yeah, 1 3/4 inches and pretty much 1 3/4 inches. So that's kind of how I like to have those. Now we do know that the number between here and here was, we wrote it down over here, 16 5/8. So basically we did, flip that over, that's center. Center to center. So we got right there 16 3/4. So we want to bring this one in just a little bit more. We'll deal with the rest of this once it's on the car. That's pretty close. I mean, we're going to obviously do an alignment anyways, but 16 5/8. So that's pretty close to right where it was at. We'll do the same on the other side. And that's really that easy to assemble these. So you kind of saw the disassembly and the reassembly. I said this will go up here, obviously. And then once we get everything set, this will all lock down. But for right now, it's fine the way it is. And then I got to put the cotter pins through here, but the ones I have are nasty looking. They're just all bent up, so I'm just going to put new ones in and be done with it. So they're nice and clean. So I guess this assembly is good. We'll move on to the next part. So basically, we just put the center link back in the car. Zach did not record it because, you know, he didn't. But if you come over here, you can kind of see what we got going on. Our box actually has a mark on it. The yellow mark is center. So we put obviously this on that spline for center. We got our pitman arm bolted back on, and I just got to put the grease fittings back in here, and then obviously grease fittings here once we, you know, finish this adjustment. But I'm not going to tighten any of that up until we're a little bit closer to where we need to be. But yeah, that's center link, nice and tight, and so I just got to put grease fittings in and then grease the crap out of it. But we'll get to the greasing here in a little bit. Okay, so now it's reassemble time. We've done the center link, so hopefully that helps somebody who owns one of these cars. Now we're going to do the lower A-frames. Now, this is kind of weird, it has these pivot arms, which I'm replacing, which I probably didn't need to, but I replaced them anyway. And basically, they pivot on the bolt. That's all they do. They thread in here and then they pivot back and forth on this. It's quite an ingenious idea of why didn't we just use bolts with bushings? I guess they didn't have them back then. I don't know. But anyways, so we're gonna put this in here. We put the rubbers back on, because again, we painted all this stuff up nice and pretty. So we put that back in. And then we have these things. So they're threaded, and it says, so I got this cool book, and basically it talks about all this stuff in the instructions. And it says that we need to be about 1.5 inches from the face. It gives instructions. Here's a little thing. So it's 1.5 inches from center line to here. There should be 11.5 inches between here and here. And you can use this spreader when cutting, because originally these things are made to cut into, I guess. They just cut into the A-frame, which is interesting. And it says that if you use, right here, it says, how do you know, somewhere here. I don't remember. Expander tool. Oh, here we go. Threads can be cut in new lower control arm more easily if a coating of white lead is applied. So, if we could get our hands on some white lead, it would just cut right in there. But I think that's illegal now. I don't think we can use white lead anymore. So we're gonna go without the white lead, and we're gonna, you know, just, we did one, okay? I'm gonna be honest with you, okay? I'm not gonna, you know, I'm a straight shooter. We did one to make sure I could get this thing together first. So you could see the production of one. I can tell you, it's still probably not gonna be right. But basically, you start that one, right? Like that. And we're gonna start this one like this. Because it walks this way, right? So we gotta kinda, actually, it goes this way. Right? No, it goes this way. Yes, that's correct. So, we know we want 1.5 inches this way. So what we're going to do is we're going to rough guesstimate, because I'm sure that this is as scientific as they got, at 1.5 inches. Now we're going to come over here, and it is 11.5 inches. So we don't need a spreader bar. So we know that's 11.5. So we're going to just bring this baby in a little bit more. Let's just check it. Let's just check where we're at. Basically 11.5 there. Basically 11.5 here. So we're going to bring this one in. Because once it starts cutting the threads in, or doing whatever it does without the lead, we want to maintain that. So now it's threading itself in to this madness. Okay, I just snugged it out. Slide this rubber on top of that. So we're going to check this. It's a little bit short of 11.5. That's great. This one's at 11.5. 1.5. Yeah, that's what I meant. Same thing. It's all numbers. Now we can come after this side. Can you do both, Zach? Okay, so now we're going to do some more measurements, some more digitals. So I'm just short that one, I'm just short of that one, but I'm pretty much there. So, I mean, it's pretty much, depends on the way you measure it, that's pretty much 1.5. If I go right here, it's pretty much 1.5. So I'm going to go with that's good. Okay, and then the shaft needs to be able to shaft. See how it's shafting like this? Okay, so now at this point we're going to put it up here in the vise like this, and we're going to just grab it like this, and we're going to just snug until your elbow clicks. Ready? You gotta go. Click. So I know that's the right foot pounds. And we're going to go on this side and bring this one down like this. Click. So basically we know they're good because we heard the click. Now the other thing is we need to make sure we got good pivot here. And we do. So now that we got that part down, we pull it back out of the vise. And we're going to put the grease fittings in it. And we'll grease it once it gets on the car. Okay. We're on the top one now. And like the last part said, I already did one. Thank God. Because I took it apart 3 times. Basically you got your shaft again. And you got your slider roller bolts that go in there. So as you get tightening it, it threads itself in. Like that. Now I can tell you from the last one, I really wish I had that lead. That white lead I could have painted in there. Probably would have cut the threads easier, according to the manual. But I didn't have it, so I had to fight it all the way. Oh, a little scratch there, it's free. So this one right here, there's a lot less play adjustment than the last one we just did. Like you just get it started and it's basically there. This one wants it to be 1 and, what's it say in here in the old book? 1 and 11/16. So that right there is actually 1 and 11/16 there. I'll check it here. And we're pretty much there too. So, of course I just went and moved it. So, that's what I do, move stuff. So we're just gonna snug these babies up like this, get them started. Recheck our measurements. Yep, looks good. Yep, actually it's perfect. So now, both of these are getting ready to cut these into this. So we're gonna put it in the old Visola. Get the old ratchet on it. Just lay open. I don't really care what you do. This definitely cutting threads. We'll come back to that. Told you, white lead would have been handy right now. For some reason, This ain't gonna go through, is it? The other one weren't like this. Let's put something on it. Oh, goddamn. It's cutting new threads right here, is what it's doing. See? It's not happy about it either. Let's put a little anti-seize on it. See if that helps a little bit.
But you touched the anti-seize now.
I'm gonna be the Tin Man on the Wizard of Oz. Whatever. We know that one's good. That's the way it clicked. So now we got never seize on this, which means we got never seize everywhere. And we're back with some more parts. Again, we already did one side. And the reason why we're doing that, normally I would just let you see the raw, unedited versions, but I don't really know what I'm doing, so I'm guessing a lot. So I'd like to guess 3 or 4 times and show you the rightish way. Now, there's our spindle. Well, part of it with this piece. Okay. So now we're gonna get back to that whole, remember we did this? Remember we did drawings and stuff? Okay, we know that's left. We know this one's left. So basically, because I took pictures, I know that I want this piece to thread in from the front inward. Okay, now these are backwards threads. There's a reason for that. Okay, so we're gonna thread this in. Now I also know from the pictures that it was all the way in, basically as far as in as it would go. But now we want to line up that line with the center. So that basically, what this does is when this goes back in the car with this bolt right here, coming through here, okay? This is backwards threads. So as we adjust the caster, we're going to turn this out, and that's going to basically stay still, but we're going to turn this out, and it's going to lean this outward, like this, giving us positive caster. If we were to crank it in the other way, it's going to pull it this way, like this, and it's going to get negative caster. Remember we talked about caster earlier. So this system's really not the greatest. It's the reason why people cut the front snouts off these cars and go to something more modern. But it does work, barely. But it works. I mean, this one's, you know, old, and it worked. So what we're going to do is we're going to put things back the way they were. And then when we start adjusting it, because I really can't do camber or caster or any of that till the motor's in there, we get all the weight on the car, and we know where it's sitting. We can't do nothing. So I'm putting it back to where it was originally. So we're going to put it there. Now how that works is once you get your caster right, this actually will get your camber too. So it kind of messes up your caster a little bit, but it'll actually, like right here, it would suck this back in, push it out, is what this does. So it's not very scientific, like the modern cars of today. So we're going to, you know, set it back to stock, and it's a good start. It's a good reference point. It's not exact, but it's a heck of a lot closer. So than just having no numbers in it at all, trying to start from scratch. So that's why we mark everything, so we could at least get it back close. And which it's, I mean, it's still going to be off because obviously the old parts are pretty worn. compared to the new parts. So, and then we have the lower one, which is non-adjustable. That one goes in the bottom, and that one acts as a pivot. So once this one goes in, again, we're going to center this within the A-frame from what my instructions say. Pretty high tech. And then work on the caster from there. So we're going to basically put this in the vise, not bother with a wrench, and just tighten it up, set it to 108 foot-pounds. So that's done. That's ready to go back in the car once we can combine all these parts. So next, so this is obviously the kingpin that will drop down through here, which we can't completely assemble tonight because we're missing the home. But we are going to throw the bushings in this. So I'm going to grab some bushings and come back, and Zach's probably going to put you on like a stand or something because we got to use the vise to do all this. Okay, now for the fun part. We basically, I want to clean these out real good. We got to get these bushings put back in these holes. So what I did do is I froze them. They've been in the freezer. So being that they've been in the freezer, they kind of slide in real easy. So first step, we got it in there flush. Now we just got to bring it up till we can see the yeah. Go ahead. So basically, we pushed it in so that hole lines up with the bearing. Okay, just like that. And when we grease it, it'll grease all that in there and lubricate the sleeve. And just like that, there is a second one. See? But now the problem is, the reason why we can't finish this is because this pin right here needs to go through here. And you see it no fits. They purposely oversize these a little bit. So what you have to do is you have to run a ream through here. Ream these out so this pin is just snug in there. So the ream will be here in a couple days, and once the ream gets here, we will lightly ream these, and then we can finish assembly the front end. So hopefully so far this has been helpful to the ones who've never been into one of these. I know this video would have been helpful for me when I was taking the thing apart. But next we'll be attaching the A-frames on the car, and that's really as far as we can go until we get the parts to finish these. So we'll be back at a future date.
Yeah, I mean, for them, it's going to be like,
poof. But for you, it's going to be like, welcome back. Be sure to like and subscribe. See? It'll be just like that. You won't even know that it's been like 3 or 4 days. That's how awesome this is. Welcome to movie magic. Okay. We ready?
yes.
We got our reamer in. There she is. Nothing real spectacular about it, it just reams. So basically we adjusted the reamer just about the size of our pin. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab that collar there that keeps it square on the bore, and then that, and we're going to slowly run that through like that, and then we're going to try it to our pin. I think she's really close, Zach. Let me run that reamer through one more time. I think this side's gonna be good. Okay. We want our pen just snug in there. So see, it's just snug. But it does fit in there. So that's what we're after. Time we clean it up.
But we want it tight.
We want it tight. 'Cause this is basically like your ball joint would do in your car. So when this gets loose, you get a lot of vertical movement. And this one is designed for this, where it has a sleeve to basically keep it
Straight to
the other one. Oh, just a little bit too tight. Come on. It's closer, and you don't want to go too crazy because you basically have one shot at this. And then you got to replace that bushing. Oh yeah, perfect. Look, I mean that's just.
Can't see it because you're standing in the way.
Sorry. It just fits in. It's perfect. Just like that. Okay. Ugh. Double check this side. We should still be good. Perfect. So there, that's perfect. So I'm gonna use this WD-40 to kind of clean this out real good. And get all them little chips and everything out of there. Clean this up. So I told you there weren't much to that part, but it's just having that tool to do it.
Which we didn't have.
Yeah, or if you have you could use a rod hone. So if you're a local machine shop that has a rod hone, could also do it for you. I said you're not taking much. Then they're real close, but.
The big thing is keeping it square to the opposite side.
And we just pick our little home thing up and
put it where you're gonna lose it.
Put it in the toolbox where I can lose it. So we got a bearing that goes on the bottom, like this. Remember, we had one on this side. Now it comes with these shims. Now we didn't have to use one on the last one, but we'll check this side and see. I don't know which side's top. That looks like it.
Is the spindle pointing downward? Like the end of the spindle? Yeah. That's the way you want it. If you flip it the other way, it's pointed very vertical.
Now we slide this in here. This one's actually really tight too. We couldn't get a shim in there if we wanted to, but sometimes you have to put that shim right in here.
Just depends on how worn.
How worn your parts are. Now this one's really wasn't that worn, so. And then now you want this little piece going towards the back.
You can't see it because your finger's in the way. That little notch.
There we go.
And what it is that guy right there.
Yep, and then we just take this pin right here, the flat side towards it, like this. I think it's backwards. I think this one actually goes through this way. I don't know if it really matters.
I don't think it does.
You don't think it does?
No, it's not tapered or anything, so.
Get started. Let's turn it a little bit to make sure you're a little bit snug. But it also has no grease in it either. Just starting to poke out the backside. Yeah, it feels good actually. Okay, so that pin's in there. That ain't going nowhere. Okay. And then the next step, you go put these little keepers on here, because that's going to keep the grease, the grease kind of in, but mainly the water and stuff out. So how you put these in is like this, and you dome that down like that, and then we peen them over just so it can't come out. And while I'm on this side, I'm going to put a little right stuff on it. Just like that. We're going to flip it over. Wipe this down real good. Put that cap on it. Just like that. And same thing. And hopefully that don't have to come out for another 50 something, 60 years. Just like that. And now, once I grease it, it'll be nice and tight when it goes back in the car.
So what are you making over here?
I'm making a jack stand. What are you making over here?
A YouTube video.
No one wants to see me YouTube.
They don't.
No?
I think they want to know what you're making.
I don't think they want to know what I'm making.
I think they do.
Zach screwed up again. Got me the wrong shocks. So, since Zach got me the wrong shocks, I now have to modify my lower A-frames for the new shocks. So,
I got you the only shocks that
no,
would potentially fit this vehicle.
No, I found a set that fit it.
Other than the $24.99
Monroes.
Yeah.
I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. You just painted these. I know. I know I just painted them. But my problem is, since Zach got me the wrong shocks, I have to modify these. So, basically what I gotta do is more creativity. Now, this creativity ain't that bad. It's some of the other creativity we've had to do in the past. It's actually putting that camera right in my beak. I'm trying to work here. But basically, the original shocks had 2 posts. This one don't. This one has a T in a post. That's because we wanted to go with, you know, the QA1. Adjustable. So I can go from soft ride to racing. Back to soft ride. No, actually, we're just hunting for a shock that would actually fit in the car decently. That would give me the adjustment, and since we don't really know where we want the car to ride, having adjustability on the shocks really actually make it really nice. So, and I didn't want a gas-powered shock. So this really was the best solution for this. So with all that happening, we basically need to turn this. Had a big round cup that went way deep, and then the shock thing came through it originally. So now what we're actually going to do is we're actually going to turn this thing into a place that I can bolt my shock to. The goal is to get it so the shock will go up through it. It's kind of the goal. So I'm debating, probably just need to bring it over there and weld it over there. It might be safer. So I'm basically making the plates like this, and now I'm gonna go weld them up, beep, 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 like that. And then I can basically drill them for right where I want these to go, which is actually basically right here is right where they're gonna end up going. So we can drill them, and then I can weld a 3/8 nut on the back side, and then I can repaint them and put them on, and then we can accept these QA1s, who don't sponsor us, but maybe they will someday. Probably not. So what I done is I took some flat stock and I made me some of these little brackets like this. They're all the same. I ground them all together, and now we're gonna go weld them on each side of these lowers. Get them positioned, get them welded up, get them cleaned up, get them drilled up, and then get it painted up. Then we can put them on, and we know we're good for the shocks. So that's where we're at, Zach. So that we definitely know that we want them
Roughly there. Right. Pretty close to the middle-ish.
basically right there. It's basically what we're after, I think, is that? Well, it looks like I'm definitely going to have to cut those off. Which is what we thought. But I was hoping not to.
What's that tool's name?
Huh?
Does that tool have a name?
I'm taking some off while I'm at it. Quicksilver.
But it's orange.
Well,
It can't be fast orange because that's the soap.
this thing makes short order everything. Now we'll just fire it, mister. I don't know, whatever his name is. Skinny belt. Okay, so as you can see, we reassembled these spindles you saw us do. I'm going to walk you through it because we opted not to leave this on the filming because the way we did this is probably not the way you should do it. Okay, and I don't want to be liable for you to removing your teeth or your face when that big spring that's new comes exiting out of the car at a rapid pace. Okay, so what I'm saying is basically we put the lower A-frame on with the bolts here. We put the upper A-frame on with its bolts. And then we shoved the spring up in here. And I put this bolt in and centered this spindle up here. So it's centered, okay? And then we strapped the car down. And we did some more strapping and some jacking. And we basically lifted this whole A-frame up with this spindle on it until it met the holes on this, okay? So once it met the holes on this, we basically centered this back up as close as I could to the center of this A-frame, which is pretty close. And we put the bolt through, and then we took the big gun and we ooga-toogered it back down there, okay? So as you can see, this is all together. I do gotta put the grease fittings in these. And now really that the whole front end's together, I'm gonna grab the grease gun and I'm gonna put some grease to all this. Well, as soon as I put these on. So I'll get these on and I'll get the plate on here and then we will grease up the front end. And the front end's assembled. I mean, it's all done. It's I mean, the sway bar is up in here. We do gotta put the bushing and stuff back on this one. But other than that, I mean, it's assembled. So we do gotta put our shocks up in there. We'll record that when we get started with our shocks. Our QA1 modified Corvette shocks. That's right. And you know, if you put Corvette in the name, that's 20 horse minimum. Okay, we're using Corvette shocks. We modified the lowers for to get them in here. So we know we gained 20 more horsepower. I mean, wheel horsepower. Not like off the end, this is off the wheels. Just this tire itself. 20 horsepower on this wheel and 20 on that one. It's crazy. So all you can do is put the Corvette on it. It's faster. But there we're at it. The front end is assembled. So we are well on our way. This thing hasn't had a front end in months. So it's almost to the point now we could actually put wheels on it and, you know, roll it outdoors if we wanted to. And roll it back in if we needed to. Which, currently get our motor, we may have to. But we're not going there today. Ready, Zach, for the next step?
Yes.
Okay. Shut her down! Okay, so basically the aftermarket brake system uses these plates right here, which we painted earlier. Oh, that just goes over top and bolts in. Should be originally where the brake drum would sit, because these originally had brake drums. Now the person before me actually swapped this over, so I'd have to buy the whole kit, even though I end up replacing half the kit, because I wanted just better quality brake stuff. So there wasn't nothing wrong with what he installed. I just I wanted to upgrade on the rotors and on the calipers. It's a heavy car, and I want to be able to stop it on a dime and get back a nickel. So we did a little upgrade. So then your spindle, basically, this would be your turning machine here, and then this right here will hook to it like that.
So now what flavor of grease are you using today?
I don't know. What flavor are we using, Zach?
Amsoil.
Amsoil.
High performance racing grease.
High performance racing grease. You could probably show them or give them a link, since I believe you are an authorized reseller.
I am.
Of Amsoil, which you can probably get from our website as well.
Yeah, there'll be a link, like down there somewhere.
There'll be a link
to where you can pick up some of this high performance racing grease. particular reason you chose the high performance racing grease? Just that it was in stock?
It was in stock, and the fact that, you know, since we got Corvette shocks, figured I needed something to keep this monster lubricated. So I went for the racing grease. It's for racing.
Definitely complements the Corvette shocks.
It does. It does. I feel it does anyway.
For those that don't know, there's like 400 grease marks on this car. At least. You're really squeezing out here.
Oh, there it is. That's what I was waiting for. In case you missed the video, which you can go back and watch, called Packing Wheel Bearings 101. We kind of exaggerated on that one to show you what we had to do. But basically, to hand pack these, you just kind of put them in your hand like this, and you get a nice glob of grease, and you just kind of work them, and you kind of pull it in like this, and see it starts coming out right here. See? There it is, out like that. So now you know it's in there.
And you turn the whole bearing.
Yeah, you turn the whole bearing. See, now you can really see it's coming out. Turn the whole bearing in my hand. It's a very messy job, by the way.
Highly recommend gloves.
Yeah. We'll see how it just keeps coming out, ooh and out. Usually one handful will get you the whole bearing. Now I know that this one's good. I'm gonna wipe the inside. I don't need no grease on the inside because I don't wear there. Okay, just gonna throw this one in. Okay. Okay.
Now, we went over it in the previous video, but how do you know when to stop tightening that? No.
Basically, when you can't turn this anymore. That's not it. I do it till I just get some drag on it. You can kind of feel it when it's loose to when it has just a little bit of drag on it. Like right there. I think that's it, honestly.
I'm sure there's a torque spec for it.
No, not really. It's because you can't really torque on them bearings. So it's kind of just as you feel it, and I can kind of feel it right there. That's good. So we're going to go with that on this corner, and I'm going to check them again. Even exactly right. 15, 20, 30 miles. I mean, after we'll have to shake the whole car down.
Especially where the whole car was apart.
Mm-hmm.
Do a full shakedown, make sure everything's tight. All the suspension components are tight.
So that feels good. It just got a little bit extra drag on it right there. Perfect. Remember right in my last video, I think I used a nail.
Which will get you home if you're on the side of the road. But for permanent...
I'm pretty sure I did use a nail, didn't I?
You did.
I thought I did.
Yeah, so then it'll get you off the side of the road.
So that's about 30 seconds.
But you should really use a proper car. Alright. Now what would be the proper way of bending these?
just like I did. I was looking for my cutters. I just showed you. Go on this side.
That way.
So, we're just going to drop that down through there like this. The short side in is how I like them. Like that. Pull it through. Bend this up like this. These are just a whisker long. So, and then I cut that one off straight. So that's how you put it. Okay. We did some clearancing, some checking, some scoping out. And with little work, mainly longer studs, which actually we need the longer studs for these wheels. Because these are just not long enough. And we're gonna put 1/4-inch spacers. These Performance 2-piston replacement stock caliper Wilwards fit. So these ain't like the, you know, high dollar 6-piston ones or 4. These are just a 2. But for stop relating power, they're going to be a whole lot better than what was on it. I just remembered what else needs cotter keys too. Right here, remember this front end? They go through the shafts.
Oh yes, yes, yes they do.
I just remembered that. So basically,
it's like a stock caliper, but
yeah,
different.
it's a stock replacement caliper. It's really cool actually, because it's exact dimensions of a stock caliper. They go right on. Basically.
Obviously, they're not stock for 1955 Oldsmobile.
Yeah, they are. This is a far cry from the drum brakes that was on the front of this thing stock. Oop.
And if they were anything like the backs, they were good.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't get I weren't lucky enough to remove on those. The previous owner, well, the second owner, who I actually got it kind of from, he actually removed on all that before I got it. Well, it's been a long journey getting to this point, but I'm hoping that at least seeing how we took all this front end pieces apart in little pieces and reassembled them, that if you have a 55 Olds or in that general facility 53, 58, you know, just they're all, you know, pretty close to the same, that you at least have an idea of how to disassemble and reassemble most of it. If you have any questions, just reach out. I mean, we'll be more than happy to do our best to answer. This is our first one. I mean, we're not professionals at this. I've never had one of these cars apart before. Later stuff, yes. Old stuff, new. So, but pretty excited how it came out. Everything fit for the most part. We had to do some modifying. We did manage to get QA1s underneath the whole entire car, which is awesome. So we got single adjustable QA1s all around it. We did get the Wilward 2-piston calipers to work on the front with minimal effort. So really all we got left to do now is just do some bleeding. And really at this point we need a motor in there. We need a motor and a transmission. We really need that now. So hopefully soon that comes in. But you know, it is what it is. So we're gonna keep moving on, and we're gonna do a little bit of electrical, and probably the AC next. That's probably what we'll work on. We got quiet mat to put in on the firewall and get the air conditioning set up into place. So that'll probably be the next video, unless there's a, you know, a little video in between. I think that's everything, Zach.
I think that's it.
I mean, pretty much we used on this one Summit. Huge thanks to Summit for all their products and their fast delivery. Summit has been invaluable on this project. We've been making Summit orders like every day to make all this work. So Summit has been huge for the rotors and a bunch of little stuff. Obviously Wilward for their brakes, and QA1 for the shocks, and just miscellaneous, anything we could get our fingers on to make all this work. So here's the front end video. Hopefully it helped. The front end pieces, the little stuff did come from, I think, Fudricks, or from, there's another company too. I can't remember the name of it. There's only like 2 companies that does Oldsmobile stuff. But again, we did our best to kind of show you guys how this comes apart, because I can't find a video anywhere to show me how to do it. So I feel we did it right. I mean, we'll know if it falls apart going down the road, but I doubt it will. I'm pretty confident in how it went together. And everything feels great when you turn it. Now we just wait. We're just gonna move on to the next point, which is good. I'm done with all running gear, suspension, all that stuff. We're moving on to the inside of the car. Let's get all that knocked out, and then as soon as that motor get here, we'll get that done. We're gonna have one more quick little arts and crafts. We're gonna mount fans and stuff, but that'll be later. So that'll be on a later video. But thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you. Again, remember, only 80% of you watching this is actually, you know, clicking the subscribe button.
No, 80% aren't.
80% aren't. I'm sorry. 80% of you are not clicking the button. 80% of you click the button. That one, right? I know it's right here. I'm pretty sure. So please click the button. And thank you. Peace out.